Okay. Okay, so I think I've got the video set in the right spot. I'll just wait a little bit while people just start hopping on. Today I'm going to do the quilting around the flowers that I did yesterday, which sort of, with the cold weather we've had, it's sort of nice to have a bit of a spring look to a quilt that I've done. I'm just changing, like I say, the bobbin. I'm going to probably change that to the grey I've chosen, which is this one. So this is a gem, what they call gem thread, and it's a rayon, but it will have a nice shine to the top. So while I fill up the bobbin, I'll just chat away. Doesn't look, it looks a bit dark in the film. Is the film okay, or is it a bit dark? Might be, I need to move it maybe over here. I'll just move it around here so you can see. A little bit better I should say. Put my teeth back in. Alright, so I've got, it's almost like a bluey grey thread, and oops, all fingers and thumbs. I'll just try and find a bobbin that's empty, one that's close to empty. That'll do me. And get it wound. So after yesterday, I went and finished off another project, which I showed last night. I popped it on and started a newie. So I hope you got to see those. One was a horse panel, which was finished. So I'm just going to figure out what I'm going to do with that one and what I'm going to put in. I'm thinking of maybe a bag. It's silk, so it would look really, really nice. And the next one I've got actually is also probably really, really good for a bag as well, but a long one that goes sort of longer sideways. So I've just got to find a really good pattern for it, or create one or the other. But for this morning I thought, well, I'll do the quilting on this and show you what I do and explain things as I go along, which is sort of how I do things. That video that I have been uploading is still uploading. It's taken its sweet time, but it will get there eventually, I suppose. So that's the main thing. I haven't got my eyeballs on yet, so I'm a little bit skew-if with the fingers and stuff. We'll put them on in a second. It might be easier to thread a needle. I love my other machine, my other Janome, because it actually threads it for me. So I don't need my eyeballs on until I start sewing. I haven't cleaned out my machine since yesterday, so I might actually do that just to show you how easily it gets filled up with stuff. So this machine has a lever that lifts up, that's so no screws, and all the Janomes, the newer models, have that feature. Now I'm just sort of like trying to find my little cleaner. There it is, my little brush. Oops, bit of thread. So even after just that little bit of sewing, I thought I got a little bit there. And everything's falling on my fat hands. So just a little bit, but it just shows you how quick it doesn't take long for that to fill up with stuff. So put it there, back in, put in my bobbin case. Just making sure the dots line up. There's a right way and a wrong way. So there we are. So there's a little I don't know, like a little bit of plastic that sits out on a angle there, and this dot has got to line up with that dot there. And then I place this under. Now I always lift it up to the next level, because this machine you can, and pop that down nicely, and then put my bobbin in. And this one is not self-feeding like the other one I've got, so I'll pop that down, needle up, bring up that. I don't try and put my fat fingers under there, I just grab a tool and grab it out. Bobbin case lid. If you've got anything you'd like to ask, or there's any questions, or if you know, after this video there's something you want to see, just message me and let me know. Why can't that button be used? I want to cut off the thread. Cut off. Have I got that there? Yep. This button can't be used. I don't believe you. Okay. I'll just ignore that and just cut it off myself. Okay, so I've got too many clothes on already. I've got the heating on. And my glasses have decided to fog up. Don't you love that? And I'm about to put my gloves on. So if you've got a pair of these gloves, I'll just see if I can lift it up a fraction. So if you've got a pair of these gloves, the Marcy Beraldi's that I stock these, they're about, I think about $36 a pair. You place them on just by slipping your hand in. That's how I do it anyway. It saves me undoing them all the time. They just Velcro over. Goes over your middle finger like that. I'll just lift it up over the rings, and then I have them on the base of my hand, so they're just like that. And that way they're not going over my wrist, making me hot. I can actually handle all my threads because my fingers are free, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So this is a lovely small little project. So first things first though, I'm going to do a bit of basting around the actual, sorry, I'm just moving the camera a little, the actual outside. So that means I'm going to slow it right down. I'm going to put the needle down, needle up, and I'm just going to bring up that bobbin only because it was a bit long. If you put your foot down, it puts tension on the top thread and stops it from just continually running out, being pulled off the reel. My settings need to be on this one, and my tension needs to be at 5.5. A bit of fluff. So I'll just lift it up and put it where I want it. So I'm just going to do a large, I've got it down slow, and I'm just going to do a large base stitch around the edge, and I'm not sort of going fast or anything. I just want to hold it down a little bit for me, so it makes my life a little bit easier as I go along. Just a fraction faster. Just grab that back bit and keep a bit of tension on that fabric. And these gloves, what they do is they make me hold my hand down flat. So you can see how my hand's flat. I'm not doing these ones. So that means that sorry, I'm just going to fiddle with something just to get this right. Oh, my apologies, everyone. And this one. There we go, gets them out of the way. So I'm holding properly. If I'm on the edge of a quilt, you still got to hold like that. But as a general rule, when I'm quilting, my hand goes flat, and then I quilt in that area where my hand is. So I'm just going to lift that up a bit and see if you can get over the top of my hand. Yeah, you can see a little bit better there. And each little step of the way, I'm just doing little bits at a time. And I know a lot of the fabrics for painting. A lot of people use plain fabrics, but I do like to use batiks. They're a lot more forgiving. They don't fray like other fabrics. So when you do raw edge applique, you know, I've got a little bit of fraying on here, probably because I tore it. But when you're doing things like raw edge applique, like the cockatoo and the brolgas, if you use a batik, you tend to get less fraying when you're stitching on the edge of things. So again, I'll just grab a hold of that baby under there, just keep some tension on it. And I'm not caring that my stitches are straight or even or whatever, I'm just getting those 3 or 4 layers down, because remember, I've got 2 layers of wadding, which makes it super thick, but it creates that nice puffy look. I can see a little bit of a crease, but I'll stitch that into the quilt. It won't have a chance, not with me around anyway. So it's a bit hard because I've got the camera in a really awkward spot, but it's the best spot for you guys to see. So please feel free to say hello, tell me where you're from, have a conversation with each other. You know, don't be frightened to introduce yourself, all that sort of stuff. Just making sure I'm catching all layers and just stitching away. Now, I haven't changed my needle yet from yesterday, but you can see why I will break them after you see me. And that's why I use the titanium ones, the superior needles, because I yank and pull on the fabric and make it do things it's not really designed to do, and a normal needle will just snap with me, I'm afraid. I'm just way too rough. This lovely machine I've had for quite a few years, and the mechanic has said to me that so say if I've had it for 5 or 6 years, it's probably done about 10 to 12 years worth of work, so it's really done me well. But now I've got the 14,000, the Janome 14,000, sorry. This one sort of sits in respite until I'm using the other one, and I need another machine, so she gets a bit of a holiday now. Sorry guys, I'm just moving this around a little. Once I get going, I won't need to rotate it as much. Oh, did I lift it up? And yes, so this is my 8900. I think this has been superseded now by the 9400. I'm pretty sure. Statewide Sewing Centre have these in store, and all the stores now are being open from 9 till 1, Monday to Friday and Saturday as well, just while the virus is around and waiting for everything to go back to normal, I guess. But it still means that you can get your supplies, which is what you want. Now, I decided last night in my wisdom that I would actually quilt this baby almost like a trapunto. So I've got lots of layer under here, and trapunto you'd normally cut away the other and then stitch, but what I'm going to do is stitch around the outside of this, almost micro stitching, so really, really tiny everything. And that will make this part of it stand up, okay, and push this back part down. I will need my glasses. Hopefully they don't fog up on me. You can see the thread there. It's a good colour. I'm going to make it bury. There you go, it's buried. Now, what I tend to do when I look at these, and if I'm going to do any micro quilting and I want to make it look a little bit spectacular, is I'll actually create sections. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a section, and I try not to make it look like come off there, you know, or come off there. So I'm going to come around here, and I'm going to make it come from, say, or probably say there, and then come straight across. And I'll create a double line. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Hold on to it. And when I get to the end here, I'll stop and turn it towards me, and I'll go next to that, and on my little foot, I've got these little lines there. So if I move across and line that line up with the previous stitch, I'll get a 1/4 inch. You see that? So I don't know if you can actually see that. I'm trying to get in there. It's very hard to see because it's cut tone on tone, but I've created 2 lines. Now I want to go in here. I'll just move some cords out of the way. Just might put that up over here. Right out of the way. Oh, there you go. And I might, sorry, just moving it right out of the way. I might just micro stipple in here, and then I'll come up to a certain point and I'll do another set of lines, and that section will be all micro stippled. Okay, now micro stippling, you've got to have it going a little bit faster, which means I could shred a few threads, but I'm okay with that. And it's lots of little movements, little tiny movements, much easier with an open toe foot. The beauty of this is, as you're going, if you do tend to go over the same line, it doesn't matter because you can't see it. It's so tiny that you can't see those little errors. It's not a chance you'll see them. And if you noticed, I have pretty much had the same colour in the top of my, that I've got in the top of my machine as I do, I'll always put that in the bobbin. I don't try and get a different colour in the back of it just to match the backing. It's just way too hard. I don't do hard. So you can see that my hands are fairly flat. I'm just doing tiny little movements. And what it tends to do with this micro stippling, it almost gives it that suede look. I really like it. And you'll see what I mean about pushing down the background and making the foreground, the picture itself, come forward. Now anyone can do this. You do not need to be a professional. Micro stippling is not rocket science. It's just slower. You've got to really like it. It takes a long time to quilt an area. But you're looking not for speed as in finishing it quickly, you're looking to get an effect, and that's the primary outcome. So if I miss an area, if I see that I've missed an area, I just go back and stitch into it. And that tends to just fix that little spot easily without having to stop and cut off. You know how much I love to stop and cut off. And the other thing it'll do too is those two lines that I created to divide that area up, it'll actually make them push forward as well and become part of the feature of the background. Now, the thread I'm using is called Gems. I do have them in stock. There are hundreds and hundreds of colours, and I don't put them on the website because of it, but I do sell them regularly on my live feeds and my sale nights on Monday night. So if you put down that you get a notification when I go live, you'll probably get a chance to, or you can always ask me to, show you what threads I have, and you can buy them, and they're like $5 a reel. They are really cheap. I use them on anything and everything. They're designed by an embroidery company, and they use them quite regularly at high speeds, of course, and so therefore they cope really well with the long arm, and they also cope well with this. Oops, daisy. So I don't sort of stress about them shredding as much as what I would other threads. So I'm just going to stop there. If anyone's got any questions, I'm just checking. So I don't know if you can see that yet. You can see that area that I've stitched just here, and you can see how it's pushed it down and made this puffier. Now you can see that. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so I'm just going to go up here. I'm just going to any questions you've got there to ask me, feel free. The other thing with this kind of fill is that you do go through bobbins quite quickly. So when this bobbin runs out, I might stop the video, fill up a few, and I'll come back. see that a little bit better. And see it all there. It's all getting stitched in. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to create the next line, and then I'll do another section of something else. So bear with me. It's a bit like watching grass grow. I can see the thread there's a little bit, I might need to go back over that line, so I'll come back to that in a minute and go over it once I've done this area. Okay. Yeah, so I can see the stitch is a little bit loose there. Might have been something to do with a tension issue at some point, but it seems to have fixed itself. So I will endeavour to get that stitched in properly. So I'm going back and forwards a couple of times to create that little line there. And I'm just going back and down, up and forward here. Oops, days, all over the place, that's okay. Nice thick line. See what I'm doing? Back and forth a couple of times, then move up a bit, back and forth, back and forth. Because you can keep your line straight if you do little bits at a time. When you try and do massive big long rows, that's when you struggle keeping it straight. Alright, so I'm just going to cut off and show you what I've done. I don't know if you can see that, it's a bit hard to show. Where are we? There we are. So see that there? And that pushes that picture forward. So I'll just pop it down here and show you that there. And you can see how that makes everything else stand up. Okay, so although my bobbin hasn't quite run out, it's got a long way to go yet, I might stop there and go make myself a cuppa and come back and do this over quite a few short videos, and I'll see you in around about 15 minutes to do the next little divided part. Okay, see you soon.